Recording on this computer. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. Ignacy and Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Buonocore. You are listening to episode 185 of Board Games Insider, and we're recording it on March 6th, 2021. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. And Tom Vasel can't handle the truth. Tom Vasel doesn't want the truth because deep down in places, Tom Vasel doesn't talk about at parties. Tom Vasel wants Ignacy and The Podfather on this podcast. Tom Vasel needs us on this podcast. Hi, Ignacy. How are you?
I'm fine. I am absolutely awesome.
I assume you've seen A Few Angry Men, the movie?
Yes.
Okay. So that was my best quick early Saturday morning Jack Nicholson impersonation there. Making fun of Tom as usual.
Pretty solid.
So hopefully you guys can see and watch me do it as I read that. How's everything going? I mean, you guys have been crazy busy over there. My goodness.
I will tell you this. I see my 7 days a week work day lately, and I see that you're once again on vacation. Why you're doing this to me?
I am once again recording from an undisclosed location in the Florida Keys. So I'll tell you more about that in a little while. So I'm a few hours away from home on the Florida Keys. It's beautiful here. We have a house that a friend has on the water, and we came down here, and it's really, really nice. It's beautiful. I posted some pictures on Facebook. You can go check it out. Tell me what's happening in the work-a-day work of
Yes.
Ignacy.
I'm recording this on Saturday with Steven. All around me, Dune assets and Dune notes and Dune proofs. Yes, this is my vacation time. But let's start the news of the week. Last week we covered the Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition on GameFound. We started the draft. And we are, of course, preparing for the campaign, a big campaign. We are in a very, very close contact with GameFound team, and they scare us every single day. They look at the data, they look at how many views this draft page has, how many followers this draft page has, and they say, Ignacy, it's gonna be huge, prepare well. So my team is under the stress, under the pressure. We are preparing all the assets, all the surprises for the fans, all the stretch goals. We have to predict all possible scenarios, what may happen during this campaign, because couple of times in the history of the podcast, we covered a situation when a very successful crowdfunding campaign became a problem for the creator when they didn't calculate everything well. So at this point, each day closer to the campaign, we are very, very excited, very, very happy, and very, very scared what may happen. So thank you for your feedback on the campaign. Thank you all of you who followed the draft page. Thank you for these thousands of people giving us heads up that they are interested, and yes, we are scared. And three more weeks. The campaign starts on March 23rd, on Tuesday, and we will see what will happen.
It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
It's gonna be awesome. Hopefully, I have a brag of the week section, as always. And before I start bragging and patting myself on my back, Steven, do you know what's math trade?
A math trade.
Yes.
Before I was president of Stronghold Games, I was a huge math trader on Board
Would
Game
you
Geek.
be so kind and with your proper English explain what it is to our listeners, so then I can come up with following story.
Oh, okay, yeah. So a math trade is when any number of people get together and they say, I would like to trade this game, whatever this game is, or this group of games, or tickets to the Super Bowl, whatever. You want to trade something, and you are willing to then take this, or this for that. Or you're saying, I only want this thing. So everybody puts their stuff on a geek list on Board Game Geek on what they're going to trade. Normally it's just games that are allowed. Everybody puts it there, and then this stuff is like scraped into a program, and it runs a generator, and it matches up. Okay, well, Stephen Buonocore, you wanted to trade your War of the Ring collectible edition,
Oh,
but you
interesting.
wanted a Ferrari for it. So there it is. This guy's giving you a Ferrari for it. So whatever it is, it creates this thing, and you'll never get something you don't want as long as you pick the things that you will take for the item that you're offering. That's it.
And now the following story. So I took part of math rate this past few weeks ago, and the last sentence from you was very important. You need to put very clear information what you want to get.
Yes.
So I became very proud owner of 4 copies of Ghost Stories. All Polish internet is rolling and laughing out of me. I became a viral in Polish internet as a person who wants to, get all copies of Ghost Stories on the market. So that was funny part. But because we're in the brag section, so I wanted to give what happened next. I contacted Antoine Bauza, a designer of Ghost Stories. I told him that I'm idiot, and I have an idea. And he sent me a signed promos for one of his games, his signature. And then I put these unwanted 3 copies of Ghost Stories on a charity auction, and we gathered some money. So
that's great.
Nice follow up to. So I became viral in Poland. Everybody's making laugh of me, but then of course we managed to make it as something that is good for the people. We gather some money. So it's my brag of the week. Funny, but I think it's a good story.
That is a great story. And yes, for those out there who have ever participated in a math trade, if you're not very careful about how you ask for things, you might get things you don't want or more than one of something. That's great, man.
Pre-order section, 51st state Morlock expansion, last days of pre-order, because we are going to ship it to our fans in April, so this is the last moment to grab it. And from the HQ, as I mentioned, Dune, and Robinson Crusoe Game Fund campaign. So we are working overtime every day, a ton of pressure and very important tasks. And additionally, we had a visit from our employees who are not working in the office regularly because they're from different cities. I don't know what's the English word for this employee when he's working only during the, through online. He's not home office because home office, but he's in different cities. So we invited them. We got hotels for them, and they were with us for the whole week. So they were having a chance to finally meet in person rest of the team, and we played some games, and we did some workshop for them. So it was very busy week, but we had a chance to meet these people who work for us, and we never had a chance to meet them in real life.
That's great.
And video of the week, I invite everybody who is interested in this Robinson Crusoe crowdfunding campaign. I recorded dedicated video, so it is on my YouTube channel, Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition Explained. So check it out. It's about half an hour explanation of what will be in this pledge, what you will find, why it is interesting for you, or maybe it is not interesting for you. I was very honest, as always, very transparent. So check it out. And as always, I want to invite everybody every Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I'm doing live stream on YouTube. So if you want to ask me any questions, I'm there for you. So this was happening, lots of things happening, funny things happening, stressful things happening. I'm not on vacation, like other dudes.
Like other dudes. So here on vacation, well, first of all, I'm going to again give a shout out my little challenge of the week that everybody really needs to check out: Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition on Kickstarter. Now the Kickstarter has ended by the time you hear this, and it did very well. But the late pledge will be up there, and I've gotten a chance to play it. And if you want to see me playing it, it's listed at the Dice Towers YouTube channel, and you can watch me and Tom and Mike Delisio playing the game. I also did an unboxing video for it, so you can watch my unboxing video on the Podfather Gaming YouTube channel. And literally after we finished the game, I repeated this last week too, I think. Tom said, it was off camera, he said, that might even be better than Terraforming Mars. And he's a big fan of Terraforming Mars because it gives you the same feeling that you get in Terraforming, but distilled down to like an hour. You don't do everything, of course. You don't put cities on a map. That's kind of a thing you don't. There's a few things you don't do, but you obviously are playing projects and you're getting that same kind of feeling of terraforming the planet. So check out Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition Kickstarter late pledge going on right now. Uh, as we've mentioned, yes, I'm in the Florida Keys. I'm specifically on Isla Morada Key, which is about halfway between Key Largo, that's like sort of like the first key when you come off of Florida,
Just
and Key
stop it. Stop.
West.
We don't
No,
want to hear it. Just
no,
move
you
on.
have to hear it. You must hear it. So what am I doing here? As I mentioned, a friend of a friend has a house, and they invite us to use the house. So we're relaxing, we're gaming, we're watching birds and boats, and just really enjoying it. It's great. And if you want to check out Facebook, I've posted some stuff there. But I've done some extra gaming. So I played a little bit more of Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition here. I played for the first time 2 games that I've never played before. I played Parks. Have you ever played Parks?
Yes.
Yeah, very American theme. Well, I mean, it's all about the national parks of the
Yep.
United States, which are mostly out in the West and Alaska and things like that. So it's beautiful game and a very unique theme. I really enjoyed it. We played it a couple of times. It's a worker placement style set collection. You're grabbing your resources, or resource management, I should say, grabbing resources to then go and say, I have visited this park. I really liked it. For some reason, it's up on the hotness list again. I think it's maybe out of print in some places, but check it out. It's a highly rated game, rated like 100, 104 or something like that. And then, of all things that I had never played before, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I got a chance to play twice Wingspan. I had never played Wingspan. It is so good. It is beautiful. And speaking about me sitting out there watching the seagulls and the pelicans and things like that, I mean, it's just so adorable. Like as you're getting your birds and you're ensuring that you have fed them and they can then lay eggs for you. Loved it. I just loved it. I mean, I really had a great time playing it. And again, but it's also just strikes me as saying it's beautiful to see all the birds that are out there. I just enjoyed the entire experience. Wingspan. I actually I reached out to Elizabeth Hargrave right after that. I gave her a messenger text and I said, Elizabeth, I hate to tell you this, I've never played before, just played it, loved it, great work. And she's like, thanks. So that was great. And that's about it. Just, like I said, just relaxing a little bit here. Still, we're going to have some news on conventions coming up, I think. Ignacy found
Yep.
some interesting stuff coming up. So why don't we get right over to the event deck? So the first news that is near and dear to my heart, of course, because I've been talking about it for like a year almost now, is that CMON has started trading again on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Number one, as I have to say every time, I am not a financial advisor. And if I was a financial advisor, I'm not your financial advisor. So do not take anything I say as financial advice. But it was very interesting to see them. They're trading again. The price of the stock has not moved very much. But you can go check it out and you can buy stock at CMON. Full disclosure, I have not done so. They also, when they resumed trading, they came out with some, it's called guidance for their financials that will be released very soon. Their 2020 financials. They finally got their 2019 financials out. That was part of the reason that they had stopped trading. So their 2020 financials, their guidance on that is that the board of directors of the company wishes to inform shareholders and potential investors that based on the preliminary assessment of the unaudited consolidated financial results of CMON for the year ending 2020, December 31st, 2020, the information currently available to the group is expected, the company is expected to record a net loss of not less than $3.8 million for the year, as compared to an adjusted net profit for the company in the year ending previously 2019 of 1.9 million. And they cite COVID and the close of China as being the part of the problem. So they put that out there to let people know in advance because they have knowledge of it and they don't want that kind of stuff to be a surprise to the market. So that's interesting news to me that they look like they're going to be losing a fairly substantial amount of money for the first well, not for the first time, because they have lost money in the past, but recently they have been a profitable company. And of course, they're a big company. I'm going to follow them very closely because they're one of the few companies that are directly part of our core part of the hobby industry that we can actually watch traded, and see what their results are and things like that. So good luck to CMON as they resume trading and as they come out of 2020.
I don't believe that I'm going to say that, but I'm going to say that I have a following question to this piece of news.
Yes, sir.
So I want to learn more.
Okay.
Did you delve more about this audit, because there was audit, they got stopped trading and
Right.
they asked for the different audit, right, from the different company. And is there a chance to see the difference between these two audits? Like there is, because it's very interesting for me that the one company decided they are not good for the trading, and the other company said, oh, they're actually very good to the trading. So can we dig into this, or this is top secret confidential information?
They did release like the audit differences, but they're fairly high level. It's not like you can see like very, very, very detailed scrutiny about different things. I think that kind of stuff stays inside. But the external auditors, after doing another review, after working closely with them, after more and more information was out, the external auditors said, these are good financials. We're okay with them. And they're, these are leading CPA firms that do these things. They have to be certified to do them, and they are external to the company. So it's not like they can just pay off somebody, inside the company to lie or something like that. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but no, I don't. I believe that another company in another review, and we're working more closely and realizing that the company is operating well, saw that, okay, we understand how this company operates slightly differently than other companies, and how you do rely strongly on Kickstarter. They've always mentioned that, how strongly they rely on Kickstarter. So they just have a new view of how things work there, and then they said it's okay. Things are going okay. How's that?
Yep.
All right. Next piece of news is Capstone Games reduces the distributors in North America to only 2, Alliance and ACD. So Capstone Games announced that they're going semi-exclusive with ACD distribution and Alliance game distributors by cutting 3 distributors: Southern Hobby, Peach State Hobby Distribution, that's PhD, and GTS Distribution. They also officially introduced 2 new hires that they have made over the recent months. In brief, this is a trend that has been going on, that whether you go with the 2 largest or some combination of distributors in the United States, they're changing the landscape. Many companies are changing the landscape of who they distribute through in North America, specifically in the United States. There's 5 major distributors. Some of those major ones are a lot bigger than some of the other ones, like Alliance and ACD are the biggest, and then GTS, and then maybe PhD and Southern are the smallest by far. And back at one time, we've talked about this, back at one time, these companies served different parts of the United States, different markets. Now they have locations all over the place. And then they don't compete on anything except for price. And that's not necessarily good for the whole chain, that all of a sudden somebody's discounting something more and more. And it's better for the industry for less distributors out there. And you have to sell to, you sell to them at the same price. So you want them to cover the country, and then the retailers can buy from whichever of these. Some people say that, well, more competition is better, and normally that is the case. But in the case of distribution, it really will serve the industry better by having less distributors on certain items. So Stronghold did this. All of the PSI companies did this also about a year or so ago. So this is just the trend that's going to reduce the distributor footprint that companies are selling to.
Yeah, this for me is interesting. As I many times reported, I prefer to work with everybody than do exclusive with one company. So this is our strategy as Portal Games. But in the past 1 year, we discussed much more news about the changes in the distribution than for the past 5 years. Like we definitely see that something is happening right now for the past 12 months
Right.
during these COVID times, and definitely something will come up with all these reports and stories. So we will see what happens. Definitely, many companies are changing the strategy. I'm still sticking to the old one, but we will see what will happen in the upcoming months.
Sure. So here's some good news on the convention front. Good, but not sure yet. It's the UK Games Expo. They put out an update, and they are hopeful for the UK Games Expo to happen this year. And this year it's running July 30th through August 1st. And they cite that the UK government is relaxing restrictions. And they're not sure, though, yet if large events are going to be able to be run. They're now taking reservations from exhibitors, and they're and people who are rolling over. They're booking booths. So I was really surprised, Ignacy, you found this this article. I was really surprised to see this because I didn't think that the UK was moving as fast as this would imply with vaccines. They don't mention vaccines at all in this. So they're literally talking about this as if they're allowed to run, it sounds like they will run.
Besides that, we never know the truth because, of course, the governments put some data and you have to trust this. But
Sure.
as for the official data, UK is doing extremely well with the whole process of vaccination.
Good.
And as for the official data, everybody in Europe looks at the UK and say, well, why I'm not living in UK? That would be cool. So officially, they look very confident. From the completely different industry, and please don't laugh, but we are gathering data from different facts, yes? I'm a huge soccer fan, as everybody knows.
Yes.
And this year, the Championship of Europe were planned to be played as a big tournament, and this tournament was supposed to be in a couple of countries, in different countries, matches, and choosing the best team in soccer in Europe. As for now, the gossip, the rumor in the soccer part of the news is that the whole event, the whole championship, will take part in UK in June. Like all these organizations and national soccer organizations are negotiating and trying to move everything to UK, as everybody believes that UK is the only place in Europe that may have a crowds on the stadiums, so it makes sense to have a tournament in the first place. So it looks like UK is at this very point best organized in this whole vaccination, and that's why UK Games Expo sent this update that they are looking optimistic and hopeful for having this show.
That's fantastic. Okay. Then I won't be going. I've never been. I remember I said that last time I wanted to go.
Yep.
I really do want to go. It won't be this year for various reasons, including that week is I'm away that week. So, but I'm excited that they may be the first big convention to run, and we'll have a little data point there to see that, how it goes. I mean, Gen Con is scheduled to run just a week after that. So, that's still on the fence. They're not saying yes or no either. So very interesting news. Good to hear that things are opening up, hopefully, safely. So this was great news. And by the way, let me preface this by saying that in my predictions from a year ago, so ones that we just talked about that I was wrong on, I said that Hachette would start buying up companies and they're going to become like the next Asmodee. They're just going to go crazy. So Hachette has acquired two companies, French companies, Sorry We Are French, which is a great name, and Scorpion Mask, which is a French-Canadian company. And so to give a little background, Hachette is the largest publisher of books in France and the fourth largest publisher of books in the world. So I was
going to do follow-up, like not the biggest in France, they're like really biggest,
they're like
massive.
Simon and Schuster or whoever the biggest book publisher, in the US is, or the world, they're that in France, and they're fourth biggest in the world. So they are tremendous company, very deep pockets, lots of money. And they got into board game publishing when they acquired Studio H, it was called?
Studio H from
Right.
Hicham, correct.
Right. Hickam, right? Something like that. And they did that like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think it was. It was Essen a couple of years ago that I met with Studio H, and they said, well, we have some big news coming, so we can't.
Yeah, there was a previous ascent that happened.
Yep.
So it was 2019.
Yep. And I met with them, and then right after I met with them, they announced that they were acquired by Hachette. And so I guess maybe due to COVID, or who knows, other reasons, Hachette took a year off from expanding, but now they're getting back in this in a big way. And I don't have much more to say about it other than I don't know. Sorry, We Are French very well. I don't know that company, but I know Scorpion Mask, and they're a great bunch of people, very smart. I think that this is a good thing that they're going to be reaching out, putting more money in on a smaller level than we've seen, of course, with Asmodee, but maybe this is the first to really going after some big companies. But they are apparently going after French speaking parts of the board gaming industry. So we're going to see what that means and how that, if that changes at all.
I have two small pieces to add
Yep.
to this message. One, besides they're one of the biggest publishers, we have to remember they have a great distribution because they are selling these books. So this is the difference between them and Asmodee. Asmodee for the past few years was building the distribution. Hachette has it already. They have all these stores and contact with all these biggest bookstores. So this is a huge advantage for all the game companies that will end up being part of the Hachette. And speaking about Scorpion the Mask, I'm working for them with them for Polish market. We are working with them and doing Polish edition of their games. And the Crypto, amazing party game compared by many with code names, is the #1 party game on Board Game Geek. So this is the highest ranked party game ever designed. So this is a huge title. It works for us very, very well. Of course, Codenames is more popular. Codenames is even bigger, but the Crypto is very, very close. So we are talking about purchasing or acquiring a game company that has a really massive hit in their hands. We got information for Scorpion the Mask that nothing changes for Polish market, that we are still doing the Crypto, of course, and all the contracts stay intact.
Good.
So the peak of Scorpion the Mask, for sure, the Crypto. It is a massive hit, and it will be even bigger with Hachette.
Excellent. All right. I think that's the end of our news. That's some great news this week. Let's go on to strategy and tactics. So here in Strategy and Tactics, where we take questions from you, from our guild on Board Game Geek, Byron Georgian, who's at Bijunjo, he has 3 questions. He went over the limit, but let's take them. When do you decide that a new game has had enough playtesting and is ready to release? Do you view other publishers as competition? And do you think that more conventions in more locations and times of the year could benefit board gaming as well? So, Ignacy, when is it ready? When are we ever ready when we play test a game? It's like
the game is ready when your production manager tells you, give me the freaking files because we start producing next day. And for all of you who watch this on Podfather's YouTube channel, I show to the camera. This game goes to print in a few weeks, and I'm still tweaking, still playtesting, still looking where I can fix something and make it better. And this is your job as a designer, is working as hard as long as you want, and then there is somebody who must stop you and who must take it from you. Otherwise, you will end up designing the game for the 10 years because you as a designer always wants to improve it. So you designer never decided. It's a publisher decision.
As any artist will tell you, a piece is never done. It's always something they could add to. It's always something else they can tweak. And that's the same thing with a game design. It's a piece of art, right, that you have done. So it's ready when people say, okay, enough, we got to go. And the second part of this question was, other publishers are competition, but as I've said many times, we are friendly competitors. We we do this. We want to hang out. We want to talk to you. We get if we weren't friendly competitors, we wouldn't get together at night every time a convention is over and have dinner together and drinks together and relax together, and we would hate each other. Now there are certain parts of the industry that does, but it's not the publishers. We really like each other and we want to hang out together. So friendly competition is what we are. More conventions, Ignacy? Do you think we should have more locations and more conventions, or?
I have opinion based on what happened in Poland. As our listeners know, Poland is the third biggest market for board games in Europe, and it is a very young market. It started in 2000 something and exploded, and it exploded with a ton of small local conventions. So we had a ton for 300 people, for 400 people, so very, very small conventions. But in many cities, every single city, every other weekend, somebody was playing games. And this is how it naturally, organically grow in the cities, and gaming clubs showed up and stores. So for all of you who think we don't need another Gen Con, yes, you don't need another Gen Con, but you need this all small conventions for 500 people in different cities, and every single week, play games, promote games. Somebody will accidentally step to this event because he was lost, and he will find out, oh, board games, I will sit with you guys and play games. And that's how it grew naturally here in Poland, and it is the best strategy to grow the industry.
Every word you said, 100% I agree with, especially when you talk about, no, we don't need another Gen Con or PAX Unplugged or Essen. Like, those are, those create the convention season. But, somebody listening to me right now can say, you know what? When COVID is over, why don't I start a convention? And a convention can literally start at your house almost when you have 10 people over. That's not a convention. Let's get that straight. But then you get enough people interested in that concept, and then you can say, like, hey, why don't we look for some space at a local, hotel or VFW hall or something like that, and you grow to 40 people, and then then you take another step, go to 100 people, and you get some rooms at a hotel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, more organic conventions of small sizes. They grow big. They bring more people into the hobby.
And
Thanks.
If I can add even more, Gen Con is for sure overwhelming for somebody who is not geek yet, who hasn't played board games yet. He would enter Gen Con and run away after 15 minutes because crowds and noise and everything. But a small convention for 50 people, he can come, sit with you, learn about the board games, and become a geek and stay with the hobby. So small conventions, go for it.
Small conventions are inviting. The big ones are overwhelming, to say the least. Deck B, who's at Deck B on Board Game Geek, he asks, in your opinion, can board games help those people suffering from mental illness? Are you aware of games being used in any charities or health organizations for the above purpose? Love the show. Long time listener. Regards, Declan. That's a tough question. I don't think that I have an opinion on, can it help mentally? I think it can. What I know that it can help, but no, sort of, is that it can help mental acuity, right? Keeping your brain stimulated. It's like your muscles. If you don't exercise your muscles, they atrophy. If you don't give yourself mental challenges, you're not going to be as sharp, either now and in the shorter term, or when you're 80 years old. If God hopes you live to be a nice old person like that. I think board gaming is a great way to exercise the brain. I can't give you a medical opinion on mental illness, though. Ignacy, anything on that?
Yeah, so I absolutely, I don't know any cases of board games helping with mental illness. I guess some smart doctors can find games that would help them in this. But I have a case here from Poland. A friend of mine is part of the organization that organize gaming evenings for the old people in this old house when the old people are living. I don't know what's the English name for that, but if somebody is retired and lives in the house because he has no family.
Old age yes. Home, elderly home. Yep.
Yeah, and this organization is running these events, and they're coming there with these mostly abstract or simple card games and doing amazing events for these people, and they have a great time playing these games. And this helps those people. That's for sure. I know it because this whole organization here in Poland, and kudos for them to entertain older people.
Yeah, absolutely. LJ, who's at LJ Trigirl on Board Game Geek, what thing are you most proud about contributing to one of your upcoming releases or projects this year. You guys always do an excellent job talking about all the amazing people that you work with, but I feel like we rarely hear you brag about yourselves. I don't know. I think Ignacy brags about himself all the time, and I just brag about my relaxation. But this is it. So, I mean, one thing that you've got that's either you just did or is coming up this year that you're kind of most proud of. I certainly Dune's going to be high on that list because that's you were really excited about that. Any one item thing you want to mention?
Yeah, I'm super proud of my team who is doing Dune, and I'm proud of myself that I was able to pick the team, to find the right people, to motivate them. They read the Dune in English to know everything, like without the lost in translation. They learn all this Wikipedia stuff about Dune. Like the amount of research for this game was insane, because we all understand, and it was me motivating them again and again. This is the Dune. This is a freaking Dune, and
Dune,
all
it's
the
freaking Dune.
and all the fans, all the people who read those books, all those fans who will pick this game at Barnes and Nobles or at Amazon.com or any other place, and they love this IP. We cannot fail them. We are not doing just another game. This is the game for the fans who love this IP, who read this book at the high school or in the college. It was a novel with them for the whole life, and we cannot fail them. And my team is working on this game in this approach. Like, we are doing the best thing we can ever do, and we are doing the best game of our lives. And of course, next year we'll have another project, and we will once again do the best game of our lives. But at this point, 2021, we are doing the best game we can pull off, and I'm very proud that I can motivate my team, and they are really amazing job doing.
My only brag that I'll mention, and I'll mention it from when I was publishing, is that upon retirement, I think I left the place. I left Stronghold in Indie Boards and Cards in a great place with a great team who's going to do a phenomenal job for years and years and years. So I think I did well with the company. I left them. Go, guys. I'm out of here. I'm going to the beach. I still got a call this week. Hey, you know about that thing? I'm like, all right, let me help you out here. So they still call me. Daniel Sherman, who's at Sherm21Al. Hey guys, love the show. My question is what theme or IP would you guys want to design or publish the most, and why? There are so many great IPs out there that are all begging for a great board game. Well, I think Ignacy has been talking about Dune so much that it either has to be Dune or it's what else? What other game IP theme that you've never done would be? It's just kind of like something like, oh, it's itching in the back of my brain. What would you like?
Yeah, we answered this question a couple of times already, and this is always difficult because literally here when I'm recording, this is my all these books that I have here, and I can just pick one of these books, and yes, I would love to do this, and I would love to do this, and yes, Conan, yes, Lord of the Rings, yes, Star Wars, yes, and Game of Thrones, yes, and I can just pick all these books and create games, and I'm super happy that either I'm doing this, like Robinson Crusoe was my favorite novel of all time, and it was IP free, so I was able to do Robinson Crusoe, or Dune was the ultimate sci-fi book of my life. I read it in my high school times when I was a young teenager, and it blew my mind, and now I'm designing the game. So I'm in this very happy position that on one hand, I don't have access to these FFG IPs like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, but I don't complain. I'm designing what I want, and I'm very, very happy.
For me, obviously, Lord of the Rings is near and dear to my heart. But if I would like to really do or have seen, a Star Trek game that is really, really good and kind of just, it's not about battling necessarily. It's more about the whole thing that Star Trek is about, this searching and going out to new places, boldly going where no one has gone before kind of thing. And I don't think we've ever seen something really great in that regard in the Star Trek universe. And I'm a huge Trekkie from the original series. Of course, I'm old. All right. That's the end of our questions for this week. Let's get on to our playtesting segment. I would say here, okay, we got to change that. I'm going to tell him to take that out.
Whoa, what happened?
No, I'm good. I just slipped my tongue. I'll tell him to make an edit there. But the guys on YouTube, you can see all this nonsense, though, that little outtakes here. Hey, for our playtesting segment where we question you, My question this week is, if you had to choose, would you prefer to play a science fiction game or a fantasy game? I just talked about those just now, right? Both of those. Or do you just dislike both of them? And part
No,
two,
no, no. If you don't listen to the podcast,
you
don't
can't
you
even
dare say
listen.
that. Don't you dare that.
There are a lot of people who don't like that. They want like, Egypt and civilizations and things like that.
No.
But anyway, so if you had to choose, would you prefer science fiction or fantasy game, or do you just like both? And the second part is it different when you're reading a book? So is your literary preference different? Ignacy, how about you? If you had to choose.
This is a great question because you have something here. It's very interesting how you came up with this, because I would pick science fiction because all these tech trees and exploration of different planets and the different alien races, I can see potential, and a great science fiction game give me so much replayability and variety, and I absolutely love it. And so for a board game, if you put me, these are two new board games. One is science fiction, one is fantasy. Most likely I will pick a science fiction game.
All
But
right.
with the books, I would go with the fantasy, because I like these characters like Conan. They have a sharp axe. They go kill everybody around them, and they just move forward till the end when there is a dragon, and they kill the dragon, and it's happy end. And I love such a super simple books. So for the books, I go with the fantasy, although I also read a ton of science fiction, Dune just mentioned, but the board game, science fiction. How's about you?
Mine is almost exactly opposite of what you're saying. So isn't that great? So yeah, I mean, when I think about science fiction and fantasy, I mean, they're really like the two sides of the same coin. They have so much in common in the writing and everything. But I just, for fantasy, we will never see elves and dwarves and magic and clerics and things like that. You'll never see that. Science fiction, we can imagine that this might happen in the future. So, and we almost living in science fiction with SpaceX sending up a rocket every few days and amazing things. The Mars rover is searching for life now autonomously. It's crazy. So for me, yeah, a game, I tend to go with fantasy, and I like to level my characters and things like that. And in books, I am a Tolkien maniac, but to me, anybody else who's ever written fantasy can't live up to that anymore. So I don't go near fantasy books ever. So I tend to science fiction in books. Exact opposite there, and there's a lot you can do and a lot of space to explore in the science fiction book world. So there you have it. We're going to now ask you the same question as Ignacy creates this thread. If you had to choose, would you prefer to play a science fiction or fantasy theme game, or you dislike both, in which case Ignacy's not going to talk to you anymore? And part two, do you choose differently when reading a book? Go over to our guild on Board Game Geek and find our thread there that says playtesting with this episode number and answer that question. And now the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you from our playtesting segment, you also must go to the guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so please like us on Facebook. And Ignacy and Steven's page also /Portal Publishing and /Podfather Gaming. Our websites are portalgames.pl, portalgamesus.com, and podfathergaming.com. Go there, sign up for the newsletters, get up-to-the-minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, speak directly to Ignacy and Steven. On Twitter, it's @PortalGamesUS and @PodfatherGaming. Same on Instagram. And on YouTube, Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and the Podfather of Gaming. Those are the YouTube channel names. Go subscribe over there. We hope to see you as soon as we can. We're dying to see you guys. Board Games Insider is professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast. And if you'd like him to edit your podcast, please contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Ignacy, any extra surprises for anybody this week?
I'm so sort of fail, but no.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything either, but I hope that I'm going to have some interesting stuff in the next week. I have some things brewing, so
That's
we'll
cool.
see. Everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a enthusiast. Thank you for voting for us for the Golden Geek Award. Oh, that's not happened yet this year, but that'll be later this year. We'll get you guys.
We will
on
remind you this time.
We will remind
you a
you.
lot.
Take care, everybody. Bye now.
Bye bye.